Happy Thursday to you, Tina.
And also to you.
I should check to see if Jeff updated Docker Hub after I pinged him on some of the refer stuff last week.
Yeah, you should.
I felt bad for him. He replied back with a snippet of code that was all commented out and said we probably need this for 1.1 compliance or conformance.
Yeah,
It's
that
like
hurts.
it's like I probably shouldn't have commented this code out.
I hate it when that happens.
Next time it'll be a little note there that says, uncomment this before Brandon pings me. Again.
No, I'm going to make the comment. Let's see how long before Brandon notices.
How's it going there, Sasha?
It's going okay.
Just okay, huh?
Yeah. Actually, the weather is really nice, so I can't be complaining, unfortunately.
I mean, you complain you're stuck inside in a meeting.
Like a small audience. Hey, Tiana. Oh, there you go, Brian.
We we've had a small audience for a few weeks now. I think people got used to us not doing much in the meeting, so I threw something on the agenda today. Maybe that'll get people to show up.
We have an agenda?
I threw I threw one thing on the agenda. We had um we had another PR come in there that should be an easy approve, so I'll put that on the review list. I can even do a screen share and all that good stuff. Let me get one more tab open here. Alrighty. Screen share time. There we go. So yeah, a bunch of stuff still sitting in the review queue, but the one that I think is an easy review just got submitted just earlier today of someone that came through and cleaned up our implementation list. And the changes are all pretty straightforward. It was Scopio moved from Project Atomic under the containers ecosystem there. It's just moving the GitHub org on that one. And similar for the OCI distribution that was out from Crosslet, that was a Rust implementation. So Oris is now running that one. Build, or box builder / box, that got moved into an archive. No one's maintaining that anymore. And I think that was everything. It was just those three: 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then 3. So I checked all the links. Everything looks good. Nothing blew up on the CI job. So I was like, yeah, that's an easy approve. So I figure I'll throw that on the agenda in case anybody has a chance to look at that and give a thumbs up to it. Oh, we even got Rom showing for today. I got to keep adding people to the list here. Alrighty. And then the other thing I wanted to chat about today was the image layout and how we want to represent refers in there. And I know this one's been sitting around for a while, over a year now. Thinking through this, I had put two different annotations in there, one for the refer subject entry, kind of mirroring how some of this other stuff went, and then one for refer convert. I'm leaning now towards saying maybe we should just make it one. And the reason I'm leaning that direction and get rid of this convert line in there. The reason I'm leaning that direction is when I started looking through this just the other day, and I've had folks that have been asking, hey, doing some of this stuff offline is really not specified. When I looked at how ORS did it, when I looked at how Reg Client does it, when I looked at how BuildKit does it, everybody is doing it in a different and incompatible way. So the Ola Reg, which was kind of an implementation of this PR, only supported converting from Reg Client. So it's saying I converted something from one format to another to keep track of when I convert it. I'm fine with just leaving that as a project specific thing and best effort. But beyond that, I think it comes down to the question of, do we want to track refers individually, or do we want to track the refers response, the index of all the refers to an individual manifest, as one entry in the index.json? And I know that Aura's has gone out there and just put individual entries in there. And right now they don't have any annotation on there at all. So you just have to go through and parse every single manifest to discover what's referring to what. Reg client is using the fallback tag. And so it's treating a OCI layout as if it was a V1 registry, pushing the fallback tag with the full response in there. Ola Reg uses the annotation. So it flips that around and does it that way. And BuildKit is still shipping everything within the index of the multi-platform image manifest. So not the index.json, but if you package a latest image in there and it's got its own entry in the index.json, which is itself an index, they've got the refers nested inside of that with the platform set to unknown, I think, something like that. But then if you go into those individual refers that they've got for their SBOMs and whatnot, they have individual subjects that point back to the individual platform manifests that are in the same index. A lot of this not great for people who want compatibility between different implementations, but I just think it would be good if OCI looked at this and said, yeah, we should probably try to guide people in one direction or another. And it might, I don't know how much I want to force this from the standard side of saying, okay, we're the standards body, we're just going to dictate this. But I think it would be good if the different groups that are all implementing different implementations could look at this together and say, okay, before we force this on OCI to try to get some of the implementations agreeing, that would be a good thing. So want to run it past the group here, see what the thoughts were. Do we want to have individual entries in the index.json, or do we want to have the link to the full response that's been generated by whatever built the OCI layout, and then all the individual refers are within that response index? Does it make sense what I'm saying when I say those words? Because it gets confusing without having pictures sometimes.
Do we need to solve this problem? Let me ask that first.
So if you push content in an OCI layout from one tool and it has refers in it to an image in there, none of the other tools know how to read it. So they are not compatible with each other.
Although each of these methods that these tools have adopted, they're all correct though, in their own way.
We haven't specified an OCI, so I can't say they're wrong, but they've just kind of each come up with their own implementation because we didn't tell them how to do it. So here's an example with ORAS where they push their subject, and it's just an entry. Is this readable at all for folks on there with the blue on black? Apologies for that, but the annotation just says it was created on a certain date. Doesn't say that this is the subject or contains a reference to this foo up here. So it'd be nice if something in there said, hey, for SHA 6 AD, yada, 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 this is the one you want to look at to go find it. So it doesn't have that, but if you looked in there, this would have a subject inside that manifest that points back up there. For Reg client, when I push my own in here, I've got the individual SHA-C29B, yada, yada. And so I know that's my fallback tag. This contains a full index. So this is multiple annotations or multiple artifacts that refer back to it. Whereas the ORAS one was just an individual entry. So this is the full refers response for the image in here. If I go find the C29B, it'll be in here somewhere. Or it's going to be nested because I've got an index of an index. Yeah, it's nested. It's going down a layer. And I have to go open up this one and find it.
Okay, so Reg client's implementation is very close to the distribution spec.
Reg client treats an OCI layout as a V1 registry.
Yeah, okay.
So if I do it, I've got the full list here, all the refers to this one, the refers to that one. But now if I do test, and what was my directory there? I think it was ORAS subject hello. I think it was /hello. Maybe it was called. No, just /hello. Through maybe. Yeah, there it is. So no refers listed in here at all. But if I then went to ORAS, I think they've got a command. I'd have to go pull that one up. They've got on their side. ORAS discover is going to be like OCI layout. Let me just do this. Here we go. And yeah, so ORAS discover doesn't detect anything from there. But if I went through and changed that to so ORAS discovers its stuff, Reg client discovers its stuff, but neither of the two speak to each other. Neither of these would discover the stuff from build kit. They're not talking to each other.
Yeah, personally, personal opinion. This is just an opinion. I prefer the Reg client approach just because it's a 1:1 with what we do in the disk spec. But have you thought about things like what happens if you update that index with more referrers and things like that? What happens? What happens to signatures, things of that nature?
Well, Tianon, I can give you the chance to describe your solution. Or you can opt out.
Yeah, I mean, what you've done with creating the refers API response as an explicit member of the OCI layout is very similar to what Derek proposed in his mutable of refers API endpoint proposal, where the client is responsible for creating the referrer's API response and pushing it to the server.
I mean, what I've got right now is it's the fallback tag.
Yes. But that's also what Derek was proposing essentially, was the fallback tag, but something you could actually push to the referrer's API endpoint.
Mm-hmm. I was looking at the build kit one. I was poking a little bit at build kit because I know they've got that one challenge where build kit puts it in the image manifest, the multi-platform index. They have entries in there, and so if you were to add more entries in there, you're going to change the digest on that image index, which that was the big concern that I think a bunch of us had from that one back in the day.
Yeah, I mean, for my use cases, when I create an image, I'm not going to sign it again before I publish it. So I personally package that signature in the index of the image, just so that I have a single unit that I can then transfer around between registries, basically sidestepping this entire discussion, because now I just have a single registry side index object that has everything in it, including the objects with subjects. And then when I go to actually publish that officially, I peel off the subject having objects and create a new index, because I do not treat indexes as sacrosanct, because they are kind of mutable by design. I mean, all the objects are immutable, but like the idea of pointing at an index and expecting that to be a useful unit of something, like it's a container of other things, several things that are mostly disparate things. Like let's back up. The canonical example of an index is a multi-platform image, right? Even if you
Yes.
take something like, say, an image of Debbie and Trixie across, let's simplify it, 2 architectures. Ostensibly, those are the quote same image, except that most of those images are different. They have completely different compiled binaries in them. They just happen to be compiled from mostly the same source code in mostly the same way, provided under a name that is the same. But they are different things, separate things. Without the aid of something like QEMU emulation, you cannot run a foreign architecture image on your machine.
Yeah, I think the challenge a lot of people had when we were looking at that going back was that some operations people want to do on the index itself. They want to sign the index, or they want to package some kind of overall SBOM saying, I built this multi-platform image from this one build command.
Yeah. I guess what I'm saying is that signing the index is an anti-pattern and we shouldn't be doing it. But maybe that's the spicier take.
That would be a take. I like to sign everything. I just recursively go down the whole tree, and just no matter how people do it, they get the signature however they want to receive it. Brian and I are in agreement. If I can get
But
this,
at that point, what does the signature mean? What is the signature communicating to users? What problem is it solving for them?
the signature means this has been verified by someone and they have attested in some way or another, but it doesn't have a firm meaning until you actually decide what a signature means at all for anything. And so whether it's a security team signing it saying, hey, we've given this our sign off, whether it's the developer signing it saying, hey, this matches my code that I committed to the repo. It depends on who signed it. But if you ship something out and someone has signed the index, that kind of gives some kind of high level thing of this entire structure has been unchanged from the way we shipped it. Nobody went through and injected some other platform or stripped out a platform that we didn't know, or mix and match something and pulled two different versions of something together and made it look like you're running one thing when you're running something different.
So currently the only way you can figure out equivalence is you push this to a registry and look at its response from two different tools.
Each tool would have to push their own layout using the way they packaged it.
Yeah, but
Yes.
as long as I can do a reference query, it should return the right thing from a
From a
registry.
registry.
Yeah.
Yeah. But from an OCI layout, you can't have one tool create it and another tool read it.
So, so again, is this a problem we would like to solve is the question.
It's a problem I'd like to solve.
Okay.
Sajay, I look at you a little bit knowing how much you're involved with that side of the house, but I also know that you're probably not completely deep in the weeds on some of the Aura stuff. Do you have any thoughts over there on that part of it?
No, actually, the Aura stuff, Shiva and I discussed quite a bit on that one. The one challenge was that we wanted to kind of keep the index JSON not modified, because like when we transfer images over, that index JSON was kind of what we used as a way to make sure what manifests on the other side. So, and we didn't want the fallback tag there. That was the reason why I think they decided not to do the fallback tag or any kind of extra annotation inside the index JSON. Yeah, and that's also one of the reasons why we decided to kind of like go through the manifest on disk. It's not going to be how many images are we talking about and how many times do they do it. It was not a hot path question, so it's like a one-time thing, and the access mostly is from the registry. So it was not a problem we prioritized, to be honest.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I'm less concerned about the performance. I'd love to get better performance, but I'm less concerned about that and more concerned about interoperability. And so that was
Right. So the thing is, we're depending on an annotation that is not currently in the spec, right? For one
this would be
tool.
it would be a new annotation, and so that means that 1.1 tools would have to say they're 1.2 tools or something.
And it's like hoisting one portion of the descriptor as an annotation into, or one portion of the child manifest as an annotation into this.
So that's the question. If we were to do this the way Oris does it with each individual artifact in that index JSON, then you're still recreating the full refers response if you needed that at the read end versus at the write end. And so you're either generating that response as you build the OCI layout, or you're generating it on the fly from all the contents in the manifest as you read it. I can live with either way. I feel like it's prettier if we put the refers response in there, but that's my personal opinion.
Do you put the manifest as well? Like it is another artifact. So the index JSON has the manifest of an untagged manifest, right? For the signature and Reds client.
So in mine, I just had the refers responses in here. And so it is just the SHA dash yada yada yada.
But
This is
do you have okay.
so the individual artifact manifest are not listed inside of mine, which is why you don't pick it up.
Oh,
And it's why
I
you also
see.
won't pick up the build kit, because build kit only puts their index in here as well. They don't put the individual artifact manifest in here either.
That's okay. That begs the question because
This is why we all have compatibility issues. We're doing this
yeah,
very differently.
and that's one of the reasons we discussed. Like technically, if you were to enable like a manifest list API, that thing does show up. So the manifest is only in the blob side. It's not actually in the index JSON, right?
So you would have to, for the both other solutions out there, you would have to go in and find an entry in here to parse apart, to go into that blob, to then find the sub manifest listed in there for the individual artifacts.
So, folks, I don't know whether we're taking too much time on this, but do you
we have
know
nothing else
if
on the agenda, so
okay?
I'm just worried about your time.
Yeah, if we put in an index, like ignoring the referrers part, if we put a regular index, do the child manifests also come into this one, or child manifests don't come into this index JSON?
Child manifest.
Like say,
Rephrase
for
that for
example,
me.
you just took Hello World from Docker Hub and try to create this. Does the specification say that all image manifests need to be in the index JSON?
No.
It does not.
Okay.
For most tools, the only thing that ends up in index.json are explicit top-level tagged
Tags,
objects,
yeah. Okay.
which might be children if you tagged the children of Hello World.
Yeah.
But if they don't have a tag, they don't typically end up in index.json, which is why referrers is such a weird case, because referrers don't have tags, but they're also not part of any tagged object directly.
Okay. Do we actually specify that somewhere, that manifests need not be in this index, or are we just kind of like hand wave at that?
I'd have to look. It might be the case that we didn't say they had to be in there.
Yeah.
Might be a lack of a.
It's interesting how. So basically, you just need the pointer to a tag with the multi-arc manifest in there.
That's how a lot of them end up being generated, is just going to have a single entry in here. So yeah, they describe this. Here's a V1. Here's an annotation for some other thing.
Yeah, so all of them have tags.
Ignore that. That's a terrible example.
Yeah,
but
that's fine. That's been there for history.
It has. But in this case, they've got the image index and a second entry in here for something different. I don't think these are necessarily supposed to be the same, a child of the other.
So all of them have tags. That's the only example we have.
That's our only example, yeah.
Interesting.
But yeah, you can have an entry in there that is just the top level index, one entry, and then all the other manifests will just be digging down through the blobs to pull them up. But you're recursively going through. You're finding, okay, here's my top level index, and then recursively parsing out to find the child indexes or images.
Good luck, Brian.
Yeah, I think Tianato and I are both saying implied. From actual use cases I've seen, that's the way it is. Folks just push the one tag thing at the top.
Otherwise, we have just an opaque directory of blobs.
Right.
Which is funny that we refer to manifests as blobs, even though the distributions check disagrees. But it's designed not to. Like the line between those is blurry everywhere.
Oh yeah.
I wish we referred to it as a CAS instead of blobs. Then it's just content addressable storage. We ignore the fact of what the content is.
Yeah, except for the
Too late.
purposes of discovery, some of those have more meaning than others.
Yeah.
And only depending on how you access them. It is totally reasonable to access a manifest via the
As a
blob's
blob.
endpoint, but you
Totally.
can't then assume it has children. Did we get all the worms out on the table yet? I don't
Oh,
think
I
wow.
we did.
feel
Yeah,
like
we
we just
went
made this
down that
problem
path.
worse.
Yeah.
Let's keep shaking the can. I bet there's a false bottom in this can. We can find some more worms.
Yeah. So Sajay, I know you usually have to drop at the half hour.
Yeah.
This one's sitting out there. I just kind of resurrected it. But if the OS side has opinions, feel free to jump in on that one. I'd just love to see us get a little bit of compatibility. So that's why I'm bringing it back up again.
Yeah, not at this point because they're kind of like prioritizing moving artifacts around for the next couple of milestones is what I know.
Okay.
All right.
And
Thanks, folks.
I think some of them are on this issue. So if Shiwei or someone else on there wants to chime in, they should be getting notifications. They can jump in as well.
Yeah.
Awesome. Thanks, Ajay.
Bye.
I'm feeling annoyed at Zoom right now because it won't let me click my own reactions to all these comments. They're good comments. But if the little pop-up shows up, the reaction shows up, and then I move my mouse over and the pop-up goes away before I get the mouse over it. It's like, what kind of client interface is this? All right.
Zoom.
It is. You got to be really zoomy to get through this thing. Let's see. Any other thoughts on this one? At least it's not Teams. See, I can click on someone else's reaction and add mine to it because that is exactly. Rom, I know you're jumping in there a few times on this one. I think you might have some thoughts as a registry, but maybe not a whole lot, maybe a little bit. Like if you were to read an OCI layout directly into your repo, if someone imported that for Zot to use, what would you expect to discover refers within that OCI layout?
This is in context with the same topic, yes?
Same topic. I'm just thinking because doesn't Zot have the backend as an OCI layout for some of their stuff,
Yes.
isn't it?
Yes. That is the
Yeah.
default storage layout, yes.
So if someone dumped an OCI layout to Zot and said, hey, here's my layout. I've got my image and all the refers to it. How would you expect the refers to be stored in there? Deep thoughts. I'll let you chew over that one and feel free to jump
Yes.
back in.
Yes.
I won't put you on the spot. But the challenge is that you've got at least 3, quasi 4 different implementations right now to compare to, and none of us are talking to each other.
That is correct. And I would actually be interested to see how Zot would behave. Let's say that I have these 4 tools, push all of that stuff into Zot, and then find out the referrer response out of Zot. What does it even do? I don't know the answer to that. So.
Yeah.
Okay, I'll get back on that.
Yep.
I would hope that a given tool is at least self-consistent, so that if it generates the OCI layout containing referrers and then takes that OCI layout containing referrers and pushes it to a registry, that it does so in a correct and compliant way.
Each of us are, but Zot has one of the rare privileges, kind of like the Ola Reg, where it will import the layout directly on the back end as its storage. So you're not pushing through the registry APIs at that point. You're loading that file directly in.
I see.
Yeah, that is allowed. So that is, I don't know the answer actually. So I'll try it out.
Yeah.
I mean, all of the individual manifests still have a subject, right? Which is the signal to the registry that this thing should be returned in a refers API response. Even if that subject was pushed as part of a manifest that is tagged, it should still show up in a refers API response.
So if it was pushed to the registry, yes. But if it was loaded directly in the back end, does that bypass whatever registry
Yeah,
mechanisms
I mean,
there are?
that's a registry specific implementation detail at that point, but not treating side load ingestion of content the same as pushed content feels like a bug in that side loading to me. But maybe the purposes of that side loading are different.
I would say it all depends on, because your tree is like the direct storage of the back end. So if someone went into S3 and started loading in a bunch of content in S3 directly behind the scenes on the distribution project, would they be expected to have imported all that data properly if someone injected the data differently than the way distribution expected it?
Yeah, I can't just take random binary files and drop them in varlib MySQL and expect MySQL to do something sane with them, right?
Yeah,
Like that's the database backend for an application.
yeah.
And
And
so if you
so,
want to inject content there directly, it has to be in the format that is accepted by the application.
ergo, this PR is saying we should probably define what that format is.
Except that format is implementation specific. The
Today it
OCI
is.
layout was not intended to be that format.
Well, I would take the view that the OCI layout was supposed to be a compatible format that different tools could operate on. And we were doing a pretty good job of that until we add reverse.
Yeah. I mean, you could say that about a lot of things that were broken by us adding refers.
You're not sore at all.
There's certainly not spice here.
Oh, good times, good times. All right, we've beaten this one pretty good. Jory, I see you're back this week. Welcome back. We missed you.
I missed you guys last week. I got a really bad head cold, so I was out sick on Thursday. 'Tis the season. Take your vitamin C and emergency packets, especially if you're going or getting ready to go to KubeCon. How's this for a segue? KubeCon is coming up, and we have a room for OCI maintainers on Tuesday from 3:30 to 5:30. It's in the calendar. I understand Phil and a bunch of folks from Red Hat will be there, and it's in Atlanta. But once I get the room, I'll send a blast out to Slack and um, our mailing list, so you guys have that. And so that's kind of one thing. And then the second piece of just data to update you on, trying to get the trademark board and booked for a meeting either the 27th, 28th, or 29th of October, excuse me, that's this month. And it's looking kind of like it's going to be on the 28th right now, but we'll see if everybody gets their vote in to me. It's kind of like pulling teeth to get people to respond. And one person was like, I will respond to your poll, but I need you to prove I can't access Doodle. Please provide me the dates and times in ISO 8631 format. And I was like, are you freaking kidding me? But I did. I did that for him, if that's what it takes to get his response. So anyway, so those are kind of some just back-end updates. And our goal for the trademark board conversation is going to be aligning on the budget for 2026, and I think maybe setting aside some stipends or funds to kind of do other projects for OCI if you guys want to do any work. So yeah, please let me know if you would like more information about either of those things.
At this point, anybody that says they want the date formatted in ISO 8601, they belong here.
They
This
do.
is their place.
And I think I belong here because I obliged this insane request. So
It is the one true format.
yeah.
Well, thank you for all of that.
And then I think I already shared this, but the talks are up from Plumber Days. And I think one question maybe this group can also weigh in on not an urgent one and by any means, but like if we were to, I will say that Container Plumbing Days was like fun, but it wasn't the bang for your effort and buck, I suppose, that you kind of want it to be. If we want to do something next year, maybe like more of a webinar or more of an online thing, and you guys would be into that, please let me know, because like we can do that, and that's probably better use of your time, of our time, frankly, than like the in-person thing, because I don't. Anyway, but please send me thoughts on that too.
Taking notes on all of these things. I am personally leaning toward, if we did another Container Plumbing Days, to go back to the virtual, because I think that was a good format in the past that worked pretty well for that content.
It just seems like people would have been interested in giving a talk, but not interested in like traveling to give that talk, which,
Yeah.
same girl,
It depends on who you have to pay for the travel and if you can get the tickets to the event and all that good stuff. All depends on the company. But yeah, I remember a lot of decent talks in the past from Container Plumbing Days that I enjoyed. Anyone else have fond memories of Container Plumbing Days? You're all silent. I will say that this year specifically has been really bad for a lot of conferences. So not just Container Plumbing Days, as we saw with our local KCD meetup or event that we put on. DevOps Days was partnered with us. I heard from the GopherCon crew that they're having challenges. So it's been hitting all the conferences this year. Okay, I'm looking at Tina's response here, and I'm trying to follow what the quote was in reference to. All right. Any other topics folks want to chat about today? Going once, going twice. Last time I did a whole 60 seconds. I think that's too long for you. I think everybody wants to call it early today. Afraid to ask Candy. Okay. I'll click on the meme. I'll get this video uploaded here shortly, and we will cycle back next week for another fun event, another fun meeting. Have a great rest of your week, folks. Cheers.
Thank you guys. Talk to you soon. Bye.